Live UNKNOT show, and there's a lot to talk about tonight. It's gonna be interesting. I'm actually gonna take our call-in down just because there's some things that are probably gonna be changing. And if you guys see the little unknot thing, I'm gonna hide that too. Andy and I have been talking, and I think we mentioned this last week. um, the call-in idea. It was something I was testing to see how well it did, and if it did, if we got anywhere with it. We did not get a whole lot. I just realized I'm not even monitoring from my from my phone on TikTok. So let me turn that on. I really wish TikTok was easier to deal with as far as
And
comments and
you
stuff.
are there.
Am I there?
Yes, you are loud and clear. I just turned it down so the volume will not interfere with us as I'm
I
looking
always,
at you on
yeah,
the
I
phone.
always have to.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
It actually looks okay tonight.
it
So
does.
say hello if you are watching us live. Um, Please, I would appreciate it because yeah,
We
this is
made it through the first 3 months of the year. We are now officially into April.
we are in April, and I did our monthly forecast today, which is interesting, um, to say the least. But yeah,
You're smiling when you say that, and I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet because I was working earlier, so I'll get a chance to listen a little later. I probably after we're done this evening, but
it's a long one. It's absolutely a long one. So if you're not in Hidden Wisdom and you're like, what's the monthly forecast? Every month on the first, I do a monthly update and forecast, of what the energies are going to do astrologically. And then I follow it up with tarot as well. So it's anywhere between an hour and 90 minutes long. Today, I tried to keep it as close to an hour as possible because I know how overwhelming some of the information can be. But April was in the yearly forecast the first like highlight month that we actually needed to be aware of, right? And how do I put this? Because I don't want to scare anyone, but I also don't want to sugarcoat stuff, right? I don't
well,
want.
whenever you position it, I don't think you ever scare us. You're very cognizant of the way you position it so that you give us the information as objectively and let us decide what to do with it. So I don't think you need to be concerned about that. You're very good at that.
Well, yeah. So April is here. Today is a full moon, a very powerful full moon. If you've been feeling off for the last few days, you're not alone.
It
The
feels like
last,
forever. I mean, honestly, it feels like it's been going on for a while now, and
the
it's only
last,
been
but the last few days, the energy as the full moon started to build, it definitely started to get wonky. And yesterday's energy in particular had everybody feeling discombobulated and scattered and just insane, right? So if you felt that yesterday, you were, it was the energy, definitely was the energy.
well, I mean, that's a good place to start, right? So we're into April. You've been saying for a while now, you've been sort of giving us warnings or giving us a heads up, looking ahead, that we were going to hit April and it was going to get a little more intense, maybe a little scarier or crazier, depending on what your perspective is. But what are you seeing that we, and maybe don't have the skill sets that you do, are maybe not paying attention to or just can't see?
So one of the things that I'm noticing, just hey Cardamancy, hello, hello, welcome in. Thank you for watching on YouTube. I appreciate it. If you guys are watching on Facebook or YouTube, please say hello in the comments and please let us know you're here. Please hit the like button. If you are watching us on TikTok, double tap the screen. It tells TikTok that this is a good stream and we'll send more people our way. We've got a few people, 4 people on the TikTok right now. So okay, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I could say. There's a lot of stuff I don't want to say. Um, I can tell you, building up to today, the first, this full moon, things have gotten noisier energetically. I don't think that it's by any coincidence, let me just frame it that way, that three of the world leaders are doing press conferences today. But I also find it kind of humorous because what is April 1st? April Fool's Day,
Yeah.
right? So it is funny to me that Trump, of course, he's always got to be in the news and bombarding us constantly. But then there's two other leaders in other countries that are also doing sort of a State of the Union about the war and whatnot today.
How do we gauge that energy that they're putting out? What sort of, because you're right, you've got these three world leaders, but it almost seems like a cartoon in what they're doing and how they're doing it. So
And
how do
then
we
Iran's making freaking AI Lego videos.
yeah. And he released a letter ahead of
Hi,
Trump's
Kendra.
speech tonight. So how do we factor that energy in, or do we acknowledge it? What do we do with it?
Well, I think it depends on what country you're in. Here in the US, I typically don't believe what our leadership is telling us. They're telling us what they want us to believe. They're controlling the narrative. Now, I'm not saying that the European countries are not, but they're going to be less biased about America than we are. So that's how I would gauge it. Like, pay attention to where you're getting the information. What are they saying? But most importantly, right now, and this is where discernment comes in for the entire month, what are they not saying? This is really important with everything you're seeing in media right now. Read between the lines. And I don't mean be fearful. What are they not telling us that I should be afraid of? That is not what I am talking about. I'm talking about, why are they saying what they're saying? What is the reaction they're trying to get out of us? Why do they want that reaction? Like, that's the important part, right? That almost nobody pays attention to. There's always a reason they want us to be in fear. And in times of war, they want to validate the actions that they're taking, right?
Right.
So that's a big part of this. Um, Pay attention to what's not being said. But then with the cartoon characters, you can't take it seriously. I know that what is happening and what's playing out feels, looks, and seems very serious. And the outcomes that this war is creating and this dominance and control battle that they're all pulling is creating as higher prices for the worker, the average person. And there's no country that's escaping high gas prices right now. Even though we produce our own oil here in the US, our gas prices are out of control and they're taking full advantage. But we're also getting leaks as to, like, people in the administration that invested and profited off of things they knew were coming
Yeah, ahead of time.
ahead
And
of time.
and the funny part, not the funny part, or the irony is that the Hegseth tried to invest ahead of the start, and he got shut down. His financial advisor, his trades did not go through.
Yes. Yes. We're going to find more and more and more of that out. The big, like what I talked about months ago with April, the big transits occurring, and the one that's really going to affect every world leader is the Regulus alignments. And it starts on Easter and it goes all the way to the end of the month. There's some highlighted dates that I talked about in today's forecast for the month in Hidden Wisdom that are key dates to watch. And it's right around the middle of the month. I'm not going to tell you guys all of the stuff that I told them. They pay for that from me, and it takes a lot of research and, energy for me to do that stuff. But I will tell you plainly, on the level of just understanding what's happening, there's going to be a lot that needs to be released this month. You're going to be asked personally to let go of things that are not in alignment with where we're headed as a human being for humanity. The leaders in Regulus affects leaders. It's the star of royalty, it's the star of the king, right? So any leader that has been operating in ego, any leader who's been operating from that dominance and control model that is serving self and the 1%, they're going to be challenged and tested beyond belief. There's a lot of things by the end of the month that will not stand, right?
I get that.
Unfortunately, I think world economies fall in that boat, and a lot of people are afraid of that.
Yeah. I get that part and the idea, and you and I have had brief conversations about this because I guess I'm trying to figure out. I think I'm beginning to let things go, but overthinker that I am, I'm trying to figure out how I'm doing that so I can continue to do that. Or is it just
Mhm.
a process that it begins to happen naturally? How does that work? Because I do feel lighter. I feel like that I'm making some progress and I'm moving forward, but
Well,
did
give
I
me
just
something specific that you're trying to let go of that you're struggling with, because you know me, I do much better in specificity than I do in generality and vagueness.
I think I'm when it comes to my issues with time, and I've always had time constraints and time wasting. I don't have those boundaries anymore. There seems to be my schedule, although I'm sticking to it. I am not so adamant about I'm here at this time, and then I go on to my next task. It's flowing, whereas before it seemed like I was hopping from one you know behavior or one issue to another. Now it seems to flow naturally. I'm calmer about it, and I'm not watching the clock like I used to.
Okay.
And
So what's your
I'm
question
just
about letting go? What are you
yeah.
having? Where is that a problem in letting go? I don't get it.
Well, I don't no, I don't think it's a problem. I'm just trying to figure out how did I get to that point so I can continue to stay there and continue to go with the flow. I don't want to fall back is what I'm
Well, a
concerned
lot
about.
of it, had to do with beliefs you had about time
Right.
and philosophies that you lived by, and then patterns your life around, right? Like, so whether we learn these in childhood or we learn them in school, um, or they're taught to us in our first experiences on the job, which a lot of people are programmed their first years working, right? Produce, produce, produce. Time is everything. And these things start to lock in. Then you hear like the validation of that belief. Time is money. Don't be a time waster. Like all these things then validate that that belief's really important. It has a lot of value. And so anytime that becomes not just a belief, it becomes a value, it becomes something that you live by, and then you get triggered by, you get offended by. Get rid of that belief, get rid of that philosophy, understand where it came from and how it's not working for you anymore. And now you don't react to it and you won't fall back into it. So once we address that stuff in charm life, because you're in charm life, and we really dug into where that really come from, what else has it affected? Is it serving you? Those are all the places
Right.
that once you clear that and replace it with another truth that is true for this moment, we don't fall back there.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that honestly was the major question that you posed. It seems like a simple question, but when you stop and think about it and journal and write it down, how did all of those behaviors serve me? I thought they did, but they really didn't when I sat down and dissected it and thought about it. So
Well, and
once
it's not even a matter, because I don't want people to think that like you can think your way out of problems. I know you think that you can because you're a high overthinker. And that actually gets more in people's way, overthinking things. I have several clients right now that I am working with that have this horrible habit of over analyzing and overthinking everything to death. And then even once they've made a decision, they start to second guess that decision and start to overthink it again. And it literally is so draining. And you think, oh no, I'm just really being careful. No, you're really just overthinking.
no, you're right because
Hey,
I used to
Ashley.
I used to think that when you think of every possibility, therefore, when you make the decision, you know you've made the best possible decision. But I've sort of moved away from that, realizing that just go forward and you can modify your course, your journey as you go along. as opposed to sitting around thinking, okay, here are all the possibilities. I have to pick one. You don't have to pick one. You just go. And then as your journey continues, you modify.
Well, we have this weird fallacy that we all were taught that, like, you make the best decision possible, right? A long time ago, when I started studying universal law and principle and psychology and philosophy and all the things that I use in my little toolbox, my large toolbox, um, I came to realize this fact. Okay, every choice creates a whole lot of energy and unfolds a reality, what some people in the spiritual communities call a timeline. You making a different choice exists in some other dimension. When we get into quantum physics, we start to see like there are endless dimensions and multi versions of you, which goes in this whole other place that's unnecessary right now. But you focused in this timeline at this time, chose something that is going to take you to an experience. Whether you decide that experience is good or bad is the story you give it, the beliefs that you're walking with. And 10 years from now, a decision you thought, oh, I made the wrong choice. 10 years from now, you may see that was exactly the right choice. So, what's the point in overthinking it once you've made it or second guessing yourself? Like, go for the ride. The whole thing that we seem to not accept about being alive, our lives are supposed to be an experiential journey. It's not meant to be this safe, always perfect, only good journey. Journeys are full of thorns and detours and surprises and opportunities and new doors opening. Journeys are also places where you got to learn new skills to survive.
Right. But you hit on something that I think got me
I
through a
I
lot. And as you coached me initially, I think made a big difference. It's the meaning you attach to things. Because I'm sure if I sat down and looked back at my journey, there probably were a lot of challenges that I had, but I did not perceive them to be that way. I attached a different meaning to it
right.
and was able to get by it quicker maybe because my mindset was different as opposed to, oh, that's something that's getting in my way. I got to figure it out. But I mean, when you posited it that way, the light bulb sort of went off for me going, okay, yeah, my journey maybe wasn't as easy as I thought it was. It's just that I attached different meanings to a similar challenge that somebody else might have looked at differently than I did.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, seriously, that's the funny thing too. I made a video this week about judgment, because we've been talking about that a lot in Charm Life and even I think in Hidden Wisdom, but mainly in Charm Life. And everyone gets so held back by the judgments, opinions, and perspectives of everybody else. And when you start to realize like someone else's judgment is so skewed towards whatever their belief system is, and their belief system may be completely anti you, anti everything that's really you. You are never going to know what someone really believes unless you really spend a ton of time with them. A lot of people think they know what I believe because I share a lot and I'm very transparent. But when you get down to the core of my beliefs and my values, my philosophies that navigate my life and different circumstances as they come up, there's no way for you to ever really know. You don't
Right.
know what I've studied, right? There's some things we keep to ourselves and we should keep to ourselves. Knowing that you are never really going to fully know someone's belief systems, their full experience, how they processed it, how they didn't, what they're avoiding, what they're afraid of. You'll never know those things. So why let their judgments stop you from moving forward? It has nothing to do with you.
Well, and that's also one of the phrases that one of the first things you said to me, and you also said it to your auntie when
Hey, Benjamin.
that because she was also pretty insecure. What somebody else thinks about you is none of your business.
Right. Right.
And once you get into that mindset that I shouldn't concern myself with what people think of me, it's a lot easier to focus in on what you need to do.
But a lot of people derive their lives based on others. When your life is all about how people perceive you, how happy other people are because of you, yada yada yada. Like, then what other people say, what other people think, are going to affect you greatly. I reached a point in my 20s when everyone that I cared about and needed the support from vanished at the lowest point in my life and went, all you people had a lot to say about the choices I made. But you have nothing to say. In fact, you're absent when I need you. And when that happened, it was a wake up call for me. It was like, oh, okay, so you've been giving these people this huge amount of real estate in your head and dictate all of your choices, the things that you did, the things that you didn't do. And yet these people are not there when you need them. And you gave 90% of your energy in life to please them. Pointless. It's pointless. And then you're not true to yourself. You end up losing yourself in the process. Hey, Carla.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, I sent you an email. I hope that you got it. And that's all I'm going to say about that, but check your email. Um, so yeah, it's crazy how much time we spend on it. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, that's part the reason I made that video. And I think one of the reasons that it keeps coming up in Charm Life in our group as we're working through, I mean, it is one of the lessons, right, in Charm Life that we go through, and it not in the way that y'all think, and not just in the way that we're talking about it. It's much deeper than that. But one of the reasons I think it's coming up is because, like I said, in April, personally, everyone is going to be asked to look at what is not working and what needs to leave. And if you will allow that thing to leave, let it go, like Andy was saying, let it go, it will be replaced by something that's meant to be there. Don't be afraid of what you lose this month, people. Don't be afraid of what goes away, even in on the global stage. I don't care if it has to do with the global economies, the the leadership. I don't care what it is this month. If it's meant to break and go away, it's going to. It will be replaced, not right away. And I want to be clear about that. If there's one thing I've had the biggest gripe about all week, because one side of my business, I focus on helping people with health. I do biomagnetism therapy, I do Rife therapy, and I do holistic health coaching. I've been doing it for 26 years and I get amazing results. One of my biggest complaints with the people that come looking for help, and they've been through 10 years of going to doctors and multiple different practitioners, a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, other whatever part, and they finally come to me because I'm making sense on the videos and the posts that I write about and the articles I publish. And they're like, well, how long is it going to take? Thinking they finally found the answer to their problems, but then they expect me to fix a decade of chronic health issues in 1 or 2 sessions, in 1 or 2 weeks. That is not possible. I don't care who you talk to. Nobody can promise you that. And I wouldn't dare. Like, people always ask me, how long is it going to take? How many cells? I don't know. I don't know your body. I don't know all your conditions. I'm going to look at your lab work. I'm going to look at your prescriptions. I'm going to look at your diagnoses. I'm going to put together a full picture of what was missed. And then we're going to work from there. How am I supposed to know how long it's going to take for your body to heal? And how am I supposed to know what decisions you're going to make in the food that you put into your body, the beverages you put into your body, how much stress you allow yourself to be under, right? All those are factors. I say that because April is a month of truth, and a month where truth is revealed, whether we want to hear it or not. And it's things like that that I'm telling you right now are going to keep coming up and coming up until people finally accept this is the truth. and we have to build upon that foundation, all the other stuff's going to fall away, or at
You're
least start to break in a big, big way.
you're a deep diver. We know that. But for those of us that are just beginning to get beyond scratching the surface, you talk a lot about releasing what isn't being supported with us.
Hmm. Hmm.
How, what does that mean in practical terms for somebody that's just trying to put their toe in the water and try to realize and figure out what isn't supporting them so we can get beyond that? How do I recognize that?
So the first question you have to ask, and you have to understand, the first thing you need to understand with all of that is what the ego is, right? A lot of people think ego is just that, the people who are proud and the people who are arrogant, the people who are selfish. That's not ego. Ego is the veil. It's that veil that separates us from what's on the other side, us from infinite wisdom and knowledge. Ego operates in our lives. The easiest way to recognize where ego is operating in our lives is where we're afraid, is where we get triggered, is where we get inflexible, right? When you understand that and you come to this place of, why am I holding on to something? The answer is usually going to be in the ego. It's because of something you're afraid of losing. It's because of something you're afraid is going to happen, like maybe more responsibility. Like a lot of people will push and push to be successful and never really reach it, right? They just keep getting these obstacles in place. And a lot of that has to do with things that are running in the background, and their egos in control of whatever decisions they're making, actions they're taking, things that they're not taking, actions they're not taking. All ego. So when I talk about, get ready to release some things, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, am I doing this, or is this in my life because of my ego? Because my ego thinks it makes me safe. My ego thinks it's protecting me. Because the ego isn't bad, and I'm not telling you to destroy it. It's impossible. There for a reason. But do you know why you chose a relationship? Do you know why you've kept that relationship? Do you know why you have certain things like Andy had over time, right? Do you know where that came from? Understanding those mechanisms is going to help you understand what needs to go. And I am telling you, this month, it's all about anything tied to the ego that serves only you, or serves your fears, or um, serves your bank account and only your bank account. That is going to be, it's going to be taken away. It's going to fall. Does that make sense? Did I answer that?
Yeah, it does. And the
High
idea
level.
of the idea of whether it serves me or supports me, or is it something I'm afraid of, um, that makes sense.
Well, and
The
the thing about
the avoidance.
April, the ego comes up around April on a personal level, is because we're in April releasing the version of ourselves that we built around survival, right? And then most people don't realize that a lot of their identity is built up in and around survival, and not like in the way that most people understand survival, in the way of survival mode, survival defense, things that keep you safe. And anyone who has a predisposition for feeling safe and fighting change and having everything be certain, they're the ones that are going to get hit the hardest this month. You've got to be flexible this month. What needs to leave is going to leave, whether you let it go with peace or you get drug along with it. That is just the way that goes, right?
Makes sense. And the attachment and survival mode, and once again, my own personal, uh, from my own personal experience, attaching that term to the way I was living for so long began the process of growth.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and you say this in our Charm Life and even in the Hidden Wisdom monthly sessions, if you until you name it, you can't deal with it. Until you attach a meaning to whatever it
Well,
is
you have to
that you're dealing
identify
with.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first step of growth, first step of growth to change anything. And people ask me this all the time. Well, how do you grow? First step, become aware of what really is happening. become aware of what the problem really is, not the problem you think you have. Because most people think, like, a lot of people will come to me and they're like, I need to work on whatever it's going to take to make money. And they think, I need more money to be happy. I need more money to have freedom. I need more money for la 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 la. That's not normally what the problem is. That is the symptom of a much deeper issue. And so that's where I always go deeper, because wherever your desires are that you keep looping and you're not hitting it to where you feel satisfied, content, you can move on now, whatever's going on under the surface there, the deeper layers, that's what we need to address. And that's what I'm saying. In a lot of ways, this month, naturally, the things that have been getting in the way because you're holding on to them way too tight and they're not meant to be in your life anymore, they are not serving you, they're actually working against you. Those things will start to break away. And then a lot of people are going to try like crazy to hold on to it because a lot of people don't like change.
Given the macro, we look at what's going on in the outside world. Might there be a tendency right now for people to hold on to everything that they have for dear life because of the uncertainty that exists outside their sphere of influence? Is that a major problem or challenge right now?
Only for some people. So there's an interesting uh shift that I see. Like on one side, you have people that are like terrified of what's coming, right? Everybody's reading the signs, the gas rise, the supply chain issues are happening, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh my God, what's next? Right. And they're pinned to their phones and they're listening to everybody's point of view of what they think is going to happen and blah, blah, blah. None of us have a crystal ball. Even me having very, very strong clairvoyance, clairaudience gifts, I cannot tell you where this is going next. I can't. I've tried. And Spirit, for the most part, has said you guys are meant to ride through this in the most aware way. When you need to know, you will know. You can predict, generally speaking, where things are going. But I'm going to tell you this much. The other side of the people are the people who are pretending like nothing's happening and they're continuing forward with the same beliefs, the same behaviors, and acting like no, nothing's wrong. We all know something's wrong. We all can see the things that are being done where there's a massive loss of life, where there is a massive power grab, there's a massive um, grab from the control grid to extract as much as they possibly can from a dying system. This current system that we're all living under, whether that's the money system or the kind of fake democracy that we've been told we have, that's all falling apart. And they're trying to extract every last bit before the system changes because they know it's coming, right? If you're walking in fear, you can't see the opportunities in front of you to be led to the safe path that's meant for you. And we all have a path forward that is meant for us. Not everyone gets to experience ease through this process. A lot of people are going to experience discomfort, but through that discomfort, you will grow, right? I've said this so many times and they're bringing it up again. So I'm just going to share it again. When I went through the initial shock of being diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma in 2024, and I sat in my hospital room, and then I sat in this room in a hospital bed that we bought for me to live out here while I was going through treatment. I asked Spirit at the time, why? Why am I going through this? Like, what did I do wrong? Right? I'm surrounded by the everything is great people. What do you mean? Um, Anywho, so what came out of that question was Spirit showing me a lot of past vision. I wrote about in my book, in my memoir, of what this time that we were going to go through. I had a vision back in my 20s, at 25 years old. Literally, they showed me there's going to be a time where there's great darkness and it eats everything in its path. Andy, you've read my book multiple times.
Yes.
Does that vision kind of hold true to what's happening right now?
Yes.
The way that, like, I explained the vision I had.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
there's no, I mean, I'm 59 right now. I had that vision a long damn time ago.
When you were, well,
30,
when,
33 years ago.
yeah, when you were 26, wasn't that right? When you were
25.
26, 25, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 25 or 26. In any case, it's been over 30 years and I can remember that vision because it replayed over and over and over again consecutively for a month. Oh, people who think everything's great, you're surrounded by them. Yeah. I see it every day here too in my town. In any case, in that vision, there was a wall of darkness that came and just ate everything in its path. And right up until like 50 feet from where there was no more darkness and everything would disappear if you didn't get into the light, that's when everyone started to panic. So, cartomancy, there are going to be a lot of those people who are not, they're going to run for cover and to save themselves at the very last second. In the meanwhile, there's people like you, there's people like me, there's people like Andy that are meant to help assist people into getting into the light. What does that mean? That means you're in alignment with who you really are, not who you were told you were. You're in alignment with what love is, and you act from that place, not selfishness, not greed. You're not living full on in ego. We're all going to have our ego programs, but I mean, selfishness and profit first and extraction model. That's not going to survive this. And in reality, what I think is happening this month is the reckoning of that wall of darkness because we've been living through all of these decisions from the world leaders, from the people who control world economies, gas, food, medicine, right? And every one of their decisions is for themselves, not for us. And that's shifting. That is changing. But as it dies out and as they lose more and more control, they're gonna fight. And that's what we're seeing now on the battlefield.
Yeah. And we've, just sort of tangentially touched upon this time and time again. None of these authoritarian types go quietly into the night. So as we go
No.
forward, yeah, as we go
Yes,
forward,
Lily, and it was the vision that I was pushing people over the counters. Like there was those turnstiles that everyone
yeah,
had to click in, click in, click in. But at the very end, when the wall came right up against it, they're like, just throw. They don't have to be counted. Just get them into the light.
just
You
throw
know,
them. Yep.
yeah. So that was that vision. And it's been 30 something years, and I still, when I think about it, and when they bring the pictures back, it's like it just happened yesterday. No, I mean, that one locked in hard. And that's when they told me what I would be doing during this time. And I didn't fully understand it. Right.
It's funny you should mention that specific chapter in your book because I mentioned to you last week that for some reason I have gone back and for the sixth time started listening to your audiobook again. And I think that chapter right there may have been the reason because of where we are right now. Because I listened to that chapter, not yesterday, I think earlier in the week, like Monday morning on the way to work. The
Well, here's the
whole,
part, like, I hope you remember, and any of you who read my book or bought the audiobook, I hope you guys remember this part. What comes after that, after the wall of darkness hits the wall of light? Do you guys remember what that looked like? Do you remember what that was like? Because that's the promise. And that's what we have to know no matter what happens. That is ultimately where we all end up. I was just talking to my client that came in for biomagnetism therapy today, and she's a super sweet, super spry. Oh my God, 71-year-old lady, just intelligent and amazing. And she's from Colombia and she lives locally, and she's very spiritual. And we were talking about all the things going on with the war, and she said it breaks my heart. And I said, yeah, mine too. And she was like, what do you think is going to happen? I said, I don't really care what happens because I know whatever happens is going to happen perfectly and it's meant to happen. And I'm honestly not attached to the earth in this life. because I know what's on the other side. She goes, Amen. Goes, me too. The only reason, like, I think I have no problem staying is because A, I know I can be of service and help. B, I have kids and a grandkid. But if it meant that tomorrow we all went to the other side, like, that is the place where all things are made right. There's no inequality, there's no fear, there's no hunger, there's no pain. Like, all is well. That's our true home. That's what we call eternity. But, like, this to me is more the dream. That is what's real. And that's what we return to. So why would I be afraid of that? And it doesn't require you to be a saint to go there. Everybody goes there. What level of what's available to them on the other side, that's what's dependent on the choices you make in this life. But like it or not, everybody goes there.
And once again, by your suggestion, a great book that gives a perspective and insight into that is The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. That's a great book for anybody to read, or I love the
And the
audiobook.
movie, What Dreams May Come.
Yeah,
I know a lot of religious teachings want to make you believe there's a hell that you're going to burn in all eternity. And I just don't believe that. I, I know that you can be stuck in a place that resembles hell, because even then it's still based on your belief system, right? So if you believe you have to pay for something and it's going to take you longer to actually get to the lessons that are meant for you in the afterlife, that is going on this whole other track. But, and I could talk about that forever. Um, but
but
yeah,
it's interesting because you're right. In the afterlife of Billy Fingers, hell in a sense would be repeating the same things over and over and over again because you don't learn. You haven't learned yet,
doesn't
so
feel
you
like
can't
our
move
life on
on.
earth. I always
Yeah.
question, like, or maybe we're just in hell. Like, I kind of feel like this is that place, so the testing ground of choices, and it just feels like it's inescapable, and whatnot, until you learn, much like the other side, until you learn that you always have a choice, and you always have some level of power, as long as you don't outsource your power. And I think that's the big lesson for us for April. Um, and I think even with a lot of my high achiever clients that I coach through optimizing their performance and deepening their connections and improving their health and all of that, the biggest picture in that really is getting to the understanding of who they really are. You know, a lot of us, if you didn't take the path I took, and studied all the things I studied, you may very well have just taken the path of succeed, do the right thing, get the job, look, have the kids, do all these things, go through the motions, right? Andy took that path. My aunt took that path. Bury the things that forever feel like they're chasing you, or just don't acknowledge them, avoid them until they catch up with you. A lot of people took that path. But at some point in our lives, the truth starts to surface, whether that shows up as I'm not happy, I feel empty, right? Or I'm attracting the same old relationships, different name, different face, same exact outcome. Or I am at a job where I feel like my soul is getting sucked dry and I can't stand it. And you just feel like you're on this treadmill. If that's what it takes to wake you up, to get you to start turning inward instead of outward, for your identity, for your validation, for your purpose, for your contentment. If that's what it takes, that is what the damn universe is going to do, and your higher self is going to direct.
Right.
But either way, everybody gets that wake up call. In Joseph Campbell's work, they call it the hero's journey. Get the call. You
Right.
receive the call. But then, do you answer the call, or do you continue chasing your tail and avoiding it and living a very surface unhappy life, where whether you have to learn the lessons in the next life or this life, entirely up to you.
One of the I think it's one of the earliest exercises, and I think we did this live in Charm Life, and it's one of the exercises which I found enlightening. especially for me, is you asked us to describe who we are, not what we do. Because if you're a high performer, everyone talks about all these things they've done and achievements, but who are you? Not
Yeah.
what you do. And when you begin to separate that and figure out who you are, that's a part of the growth process.
Huge, huge. I mean, people think they know who they are, but they've, like, a lot of the way we were taught to identify ourselves is truly like the roles that we play, whether that's a daughter, a wife, a mother, a husband, a CEO, a C-suite executive, right? And like, so many people tie their identity to their job title or the role they played in the family. They've never once stopped to think my identity was created before I even came out of the birth canal, right? There's the, literally, you had a consciousness before you got here. You didn't remember once the veil dropped, but you have a purpose, you have your own desires, you have your own likes, you have your own dislikes. That's why in astrology it's so easy to map people's preferences and general traits in a group. Like, you can say, well, most cancers are super sensitive emotionally, they don't always act like, they have deep emotion, and that they're sensitive, they bury it behind a mask. Like, you can generalize, because people, I believe, are born under the sign and on the day and with the energies that are going to support your consciousness level and your personality and true identity the most. But then we don't pay attention to that. We come to the earth and we're like, oh, I'm an A student. That's who I am. Oh,
Mm,
I'm a victim. That's who I am. Right? Like, we just give ourselves all these new identities that are either going to limit us or support us. But which one is it for you? And I
right.
always ask people that. I always want to know, how, who are you? Who are you? Not what do you do? Anybody can tell you what they do. Who are you?
You've been helping, well, close to 30 years now. Been helping people transform and heal themselves. Wh- Looking at where we are today, what do you think most of us are holding on to that are keeping us stuck that we need to realize and move past?
Oh, that's a big question. Because there isn't, like, I don't think there's an easy answer to that, because everything's nuanced, right? Like I was saying, everyone has their own belief systems, everyone had their own experiences and their own emotions tied to their own experiences. And so everybody's perception is very dialed into their own experience. General, if I were to go real general on this, I think a lot of people are holding on to either a definition or a vision of themselves that they had when they were much younger, when they had big dreams, right? They, how do I put this? We hold on to what we think gives us the look and perception of strength to others. And that is the biggest block for almost everybody. Like, when you stop giving a damn and you don't need to impress anybody, and you just are out loud who you are, not afraid to express it, not afraid to live it, not afraid to talk about it, there is a freedom there that exists that allows you to be more creative, that allows you to experiment more, experience more, love deeper, connect deeper. Everything, which I think is a big problem right now that we are experiencing, is the consequences of living very shallow, superficial lives that were driven by a model meant to make you produce and create output.
Right.
And I don't think most people are aware of that.
True. I mean, personal experience, I wasn't really aware of it. And a great example of that and where I was, or not necessarily how I perceived myself to be, but how my family did when I went home to visit. This may have been maybe 10, 11 years ago. And I was hanging out with my cousins, and they were asking me what I was doing, and I explained my role in the media and all the stuff that I was doing for my profession. And to a person, everybody looked at me going, no, you're not a member of the media, because as a little kid, you sat in the corner and never said two words to anybody. That was their snapshot of me. And they still, even 40 years later, that's who they thought Andrew was. So when they saw me now and I said, this is what I do for a living, I'm a member of the media. I do a 3-hour talk show 5 days a week. And they go, what? How's that
Mhm.
possible? You never said a word when you were a kid.
Which is why I think it's really important to get out of your comfort zone and go challenge yourself to be around people who are not part of your inner circle. Like, you get a bigger, broader view of who you are when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations that challenge you, and you have to show up differently. When we're around the people that we grew up with, when we're around our family, when we're around, this is like people who don't travel outside of their towns, let alone outside of the state or out of the country, become very narrow minded, not growth minded, because they're stuck in that role, that identity, and it's locked hard. Nobody in their community is going to see them any different. They have expectations of them, and then you try to live up to those expectations. It's suffocating.
And I think this is a great example of why people need a coach like you, whether it's Hidden Wisdom or Charm Life, because in hindsight, I realized I needed to leave the comfort of my family and move to the mainland so I could discover who I really was and grow. But it wasn't an intentional choice that I made at the time. Looking back at it, I go, okay, that was really important for me to do in order for me to get where I am now.
You know
But
when we experience the most fear too,
mm,
and second guessing, when we're being pulled and we have all the signals, our health, our unhappiness, our constant drain, like you lose interest in everything. We know something has to change. We begin to make the choice to change it. That is when your biggest fears come up. Do you know why?
why?
Because you're challenging the ego and you're trying to break the programs and the paradigm the ego set in place to keep you safe and keep you alive. That is the survival, like the survival programs that I talk a lot about.
So
You
do
don't
you think?
even know. Like, I'm working with someone who's leaving a 15-year, very successful career. That's all I'm going to say about it. So she can't be identified. Very successful career. And she's going to go out on her own and do her own thing. Her health has suffered. Her mental health has suffered. Her, all of, like, she makes very good money where she's at. It's not because of the money that she's leaving. In fact, the money has become the golden handcuffs kept her there, right? And the
So
amount of time she's invested. 15 years is no small time
no.
in your career.
Well, and
So,
for a lot of people, they would say, "I've invested that time. I need to hang tough and stick it out."
oh, yes. And that's what the ego feeds you when you make the choice. So she made the choice that she is going to leave because it's literally killing her on every level. She can't handle it anymore. And everyone else around her, as the brave ones, have left. The scared ones that don't like change are staying. And you can, like, one of the things she said to me is, I feel like I'm leaving my comrades behind. What? We're on the battlefield fighting every day together through this mess. And I feel like I'm abandoning them. I'm like, but they could leave too. Well, they could, but no, 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 no. Your ego all of a sudden throws you all these, like, you're not being loyal. You don't want to leave behind the people you care about. And this happens within families too, why some people can't succeed beyond their family, and what level of success their family has is because they feel like they're leaving them behind, right? Um,
So
Literally everything like that came up. I'm abandoning me. Oh my God, I'm being stupid. Am I making the worst decision in my life? Even though logically, rationally, and every sign in her life points to, if you don't leave, it will harm you further. That's irreversible. But all those fears come to the fore. You're not being smart. This is a dumb move. You're leaving people behind. Like, you name it. You're going to go broke. Like,
So this
oh
was
my God.
this was the internal dialogue she was having with herself before she
Yes.
made the decision.
No, no, no. Even after the decision.
Oh, okay.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Even after you make a choice, that is when your ego comes back in and starts to still fight for survival. No, no, you can reverse course. Just hang on for a little bit longer. Hold on, let me read this comment. Every time I mention moving away, people tell me I'm running away from myself and my issues. No matter who I talk to, would like to move, but I also have fears of moving. I'm not making good money where I am, so I feel stuck. Plus, it snows for 9 months of the year. I'm a fixed sign, so it's hard to leave too. Yeah. Carter Mancy's saying I did that. I closed my entire business. Plus, I'm 58. What does age have to do with change? Literally, what does age have to do with it? The lady I worked with today on my table that I did biomagnetism therapy, I've been working with her for a month, and her sister, she brought me her 73-year-old sister. Both have severe post-COVID conditions from getting the vaccines. Anywho, she is just this amazing woman, and she lives here and outside of San Antonio. She lives close to the airport in San Antonio, but part-time. 71. She's still studying a bunch of stuff. She's a yoga teacher. Like, when you look at her, you're like, there's no way you're 71 years old, because of her attitude. They travel, funny enough, in the summer. They leave San Antonio and go to Colombia. They go back to their home country for the summer because it's so hot here, right? You never hear anything out of this woman's mouth because she's learning how to do magnets too. She's got all these things she's learning. Never hear anything about her age. I only know her age because I had to ask it during her intake. That's why I know her age. And I know her sister's ages because I know from their intake, age never comes up. And her and I were talking about our plans for the summer. She goes, yeah, my sisters were asking me if I'm still leaving in June. And she said, realistically, I had to tell them that is my plan, but God only knows. He said, that's our plan too, to go to New York in June. Because she asked me, when's your trip? And I said, it's in June. And she's like, so you're going? And I said, God only knows. That's the plan. The reality is we still make our plans. If we need to be flexible and change them and pull them back because things are going on in the world, then we do that. But I still plan to move out of Texas at some point. This is not my final resting stop. I own a house here. It's very affordable, very affordable. But will I stay here forever? No. And I don't need anybody's permission to leave. When I decide it's time to go, it's going to be time to go. And I will end up having to rebuild my local clientele. I was in Colorado for almost 18 years, and my local clientele went away, and I had to rebuild. And then I was in Seattle for 3.5 years, and I started to build local clientele there. The in-person people either joined me online and did everything through Zoom. I still have some of those clients, and the rest of them, they didn't. And that's cool, right? And then I came to San Antonio, rebuild. Everything in life is changeable. Your age has freaking nothing to do with it. Andy's older than me, and he's getting ready to retire in the next few years, and he's not going to stay where he is.
No, and I'm 66. I'm going to be 67 in August, and like I've told you before, I've grown more in the last 3 years than I did in the previous 43 years. So,
Right.
and age had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. The question you have to ask yourself is, why am I letting other people dictate what's right for me? If I were coaching you one-on-one right now, that is why are you letting other people dictate what's right for you when internally you know what's right for you and what's not right for you? It's not a hard question to answer, but the next follow up question that I would have for you at that point is, all right, so if you continue to go along with what everyone else believes for your life, what do you gain from that? Because there's going to be benefits. And I always ask them in Charm Life, what's the payoff? Why are you still doing this? What's the payoff? And whenever I first ask that to someone, they're like, what do you mean there's no payoff? Oh, but there is. Just off the top of my head, I can only guess, Margarita, that one of the payoffs is you get to keep those people happy. You get to make them right. You're not rocking the boat. That's a benefit, personal benefit. It feeds your ego. It feeds your ego's program that you have to be part of that tribe. There's other tribes, there's other communities. You know what I mean? So,
So,
yeah.
so for someone that is watching and or listening to you tonight, and they're thinking about shifting, how do they know where the first move should be? Whether it's say hidden wisdom or charm life or some other
It
mode of
really
being.
depends on like, go to my website first of all, click on the work with me, and three options come up right away: private, charm life, hidden wisdom. Those are the three ways you can work with me right now. I am actually, in the next few months, probably not until the fall right now, because I have that trip coming up in June. I'm going to be starting a whole new coaching program that's 3 levels deep, deep work for high achievers and high performers. If you don't want to wait for that, come work with me one on one. The stuff that I do is phenomenal, especially if you're someone who is very serious about getting to the next level and you've been trying for a long time, but you feel like something's in the way. Private work. Hidden wisdom is for people who are really into learning and growing spiritually on top of personal development. Like, we cover a lot in there. And that's a monthly membership, and $40 a month. You get a coach with me once a month. You get your monthly forecast, and then you have all the material that's already there. And we are doing more in the monthly coaching where there's more teaching. It's kind of like a monthly masterclass. That's what everyone voted for last month. And that's the direction we're going to go, because everyone's like, no, I like this. I like the structure. I know a lot of frameworks. I know a lot of um, ways to get people through in a structured way. If you're looking to really transform your life and work deeply through becoming a conscious creator and having the ability to stand in your power regardless of circumstances, being able to ride through difficult times and create the bullshit that goes on this planet, and live within universal laws in alignment, heal your traumas, get rid of your fears, identify what blocks you. That would be Charm Life. That's a 1 year immersive program, and you can check that out. And then the only other way to work with me is health, right? Which, again, I get very good results with people. And that's on the main tab of my website. So go check out what's best for you. What about how hard it would be to leave adult kids? They may still need, especially 29-year-old daughter, my 41-year-old daughter. So here's what's interesting about that, Muse. Um, I had to leave my oldest when I left Seattle back in 2020, and and my granddaughter. Like, I left them. I could not handle Seattle anymore. I did not want. We were going to buy a house there. That whole thing fell apart, which was classic because I didn't want to do it, but she wanted us to stay, and we had to make a decision for us. Right? She now lives here. She had to make a decision too. And while they don't love Texas, they're thriving here. She finally found her purpose in life. She's making custom dance competition costume. She's amazing at it. She just moved into a new office this past weekend. My granddaughter has thrived as a ballerina. She's going to American Ballet Theater. She got accepted for their summer intensive. She had to audition for it. Like, they're thriving. They don't like the heat. They don't like the Texas traffic that we're going through, because every freeway in San Antonio is under construction right now. And eventually they will move away. My 24-year-old, I thought she still needed me. She's not gonna like. She left last year. So do what's right for you. Your kids may think they need you. And my daughter was like, oh, yeah, I can't if you leave. And I'm like, I can't stay. It did not ever feel right. And initially, I moved to Seattle and sold my place in Colorado that I built, custom designed and built, left there because they were in Seattle. And I tried my damnedest. And every time I've ever lived in the Northwest, it was the hardest times I had to go through. And it didn't disappoint. I went through some really shitty things up in Washington again. So I left and I came here and I bought a house, and then they moved here a few years ago, and they'll leave too. But I cannot base my life upon them. I have my own path. You have your own path, Muse. So that's all I'm saying. Things are up in the air in the world, for sure. But there's one thing I'm going to tell all of you. If you're like, pay attention this month, for sure, for sure. If you're meant to leave, doors where you are will begin to close this month. It will feel like there's no choice but to leave in the month of April. That is how powerful this energy is. It's going to push you into what's meant to be, not what you're holding on to, right? How did I decide on Texas? I had clients here, actually. I didn't think about Texas. I was looking everywhere but Texas. And one of my clients that has been my client since the early 2000s is like, come check out San Antonio. And I was thinking like, um, trailer parks and stuff. Like, I had no idea. I never spent any time in Texas. And I got here and I was like, holy shit, it's really nice. And I like the sun and I like the heat after being waterlogged in Washington for 3.5 years. And it reminded me a lot of Orange County, California, where I was raised in the 70s and 80s. It was up and coming. I mean, the amount of growth this area has experienced in the 5.5 years I've been here is crazy. Crazy how fast it's come up. Our little town has like 5 new shopping centers. We're getting a brand new mall. We're getting all of the like crazy, crazy franchise restaurants. They're still building. Like,
You're getting the
we're getting a
Sprouts.
Sprouts, the biggest one in the San Antonio area. We're getting a 20,000 square foot Sprouts, which is just great. And it's going to be, 5 minutes from my house. But it wasn't like that when we first moved here. So my daughter and I came, and I decided if I liked it, I would look for a house, and I shopped online. We got on the plane and we look out, and I had a picture on Facebook about this, like in June of 2020. Look out the window and there's this round, um like reflection or whatever. It looked like a rainbow, and the shadow of the plane in the cloud in this looking bullseye looking rainbow thing. I took a picture. I was like, and immediately I heard in my head, you're right on target. It's where you're supposed to be. Then we landed, and I was like, well, if I can find a house with a yard, with a space in my price range, and in a nice area, I'll buy a house. And 4 days later, I bought a house. And a month later, we were here. I didn't think about it. Like, I don't spend a lot of time thinking. I do deep research when I am looking at things, but I'm researching. I'm not thinking and overthinking and catastrophizing and playing out every damn scenario. Because here's the thing, I would have never achieved anything in my life, experienced anything fun, been on any adventure if I spent my life overthinking shit. People ask me, like, what made you buy a boat in your 20s and live on it as a single mom you know, with this kid, and you didn't even know how to drive the thing? Because I wanted to live on the water. And I woke up from a dream and spirit said, what about a boat? And I was like, I can learn how to live on a boat. Okay. And I'd been on boats. I mean, yachts, not like small boats. I had a 38-foot yacht. Like, I didn't know how to drive it, but that didn't stop me from buying it. I learned how to drive it a few days after we brought it home. to the marina that I parked it at. So, like, literally, I don't think about stuff. I go with what feels right. And if it all looks good and it starts to line up, which is how I know things are meant to be, is they just line up super easy. If I hit a lot of resistance, I have to stop and check, like, maybe this is the wrong direction. Maybe it's not meant to be. When you push and force things and then you end up paying the price for it later, you have no one to but yourself to blame. But that's the same thing applies to staying stuck and doing the same shit over and over again because you're attached. I don't have a lot of attachments to things. You know, I, I'm all about let's go for the ride and let's have fun while we're doing it. Even if the ride is scary, let's have fun while we're on it. I don't need to live a peaceful, calm life all the time. My life is peaceful and I bring peace with me everywhere I go. It is not dependent on where I am, if that makes sense. And I hope I made that point. Like, everywhere I go is peaceful, not because the place is peaceful, because I bring that peace with me everywhere I go. Did that make sense?
Makes sense. That makes total sense. Exactly. And it has a lot to do with happiness and joy. You bring that with you too. When you decide that's what you're going to create, you take it with you wherever you go. So it, we're looking at April. We're trying to figure out how we look at the month. What do you want us to take away as we
Move forward.
think about the next week and the first, yeah,
What is
as we
what
look
is your
forward?
life? What is showing up in your life? Where is your life guiding you right now? The wisdom that exists for all of us internally, what we call our higher selves, which is really just your true self, right? That which is connected to your creator, source energy, however you want to call it, God. Call it whatever you want. I don't really care. Just call it. Because there's a part of you that is far beyond the third dimensional physical reality. Pay attention to the things that are feeling wrong for you to be doing. Pay attention to the places where there's lots of friction, right? Where do I feel constrained? Where do I feel stuck? What am I afraid to not let go of? What am I afraid to have change? Those are all what I call breadcrumbs, right? These are breadcrumbs showing you where you need to work on yourself, where you need to shift, change, to let go of some things. Pay attention to what actually gives you a twinge of excitement. And I don't mean like, because at this age, I don't get all like, oh, we're going to Disneyland excited anymore. You know what I mean? At 58, you just kind of over that. 59. How old am I? I'm 59. Shit, not 58. Anywho, I forgot I had a birthday. Um, but the excitement that's like, ooh, oh, that might be fun. Oh, that kind of sounds interesting. I want to research that a little bit more. That's the stuff you need to pay attention to. If it's got your attention, if it keeps coming back, but you haven't taken any action on it, and it comes back again this month, pay attention to it. And then maybe follow through, right? Try some different things. What doors are opening for you? What doors are closing? What relationships are no longer productive for you and the other person? What relationships want to be nurtured and grown on a whole other level? Those are the things we all need to be paying attention to. The other thing I would say is pay attention to what sparks your fear and where you get hung up. Trump's making me feel stuck. I'm worried about oil prices and the state of the world. And I completely understand that, Pat. I do. But here's the thing, the state of the world and the choices that Trump and every other leader makes this month is going to look, and I'm going to just cut through the shit. It's going to be scary looking. You hear what I said? Scary looking. I did not say catastrophic. I did not say end of the world. I said it's going to be scary looking. Okay? Hold on. I got to see what I'm supposed to. Buy a boat next month. The site. Okay, cool. I mean, hey, don't stop what you're doing unless you're getting signs that you need to stop it. I know that the world seems uncertain, and believe me, we wouldn't be the first country in the history of the world to face a collapsing economy and an economy or a dollar that needed to shift. It happened in Mexico. Guess what? Mexico's still there. Do you remember, Andy, in the 80s when, or the 90s when
Yeah.
the pesos crashed?
It's a
They
collapsed. Yeah.
completely collapsed. Like my ex-boyfriend, hairdresser dude, like he had to come back to America, come back to San Diego because th- he lived in Mexico City, had a thriving career, was very well known runway hairstylist. Like he was in Vogue, Mexico, like, and Cosmopolitan. He was so successful. And when it crashed, it became a ghost town. But guess what? Mexico City now is a thriving mecca once again.
You figure it out and you move on. And part of that's going on right now with petrodollars because the Chinese are buying Venezuelan oil using the yuan. They're not using the American dollar.
But it wasn't that long ago either that China was in a place of much of their nation impoverished. You know what I'm saying? We've seen countries struggle financially and then have to change things and move things. This is not going to be just a US thing. And I think that's probably why people are very scared. The US, whatever happens with the US and the petrodollar and the fiat currency, affects the global economy. There are some countries that will do better. China, Russia will do better. They're more independent. North Korea, they're more independent and removed from reliance on the petrodollar. So, does that mean the rest of the world is going to fall? No. Things will be reshuffled and reorganized, and we need a financial system that serves everybody, not just the top 1%. So while it's scary to watch and it's scary to go through these growth pains of paying high fuel costs, one of the things that you need to think about, and the way that I've been looking at this, is it literally makes me a hell of a lot more conscious every time I get in my car. Do I need to use my car today? Do I need to go here or go there? Can I combine trips? Is there, like, if my dad's going to go to the store, can we go together? Because my dad likes his little trips in his V6 car. He likes them. And he told me today, he goes, I had to pay $45 to fill my tank in my Honda today. And I was like, that sucks. Because I didn't pay that just a couple weeks. I said, no, I know. So, are you willing to maybe not drive your car quite as much? Are you willing to stop your daily trips to go fill up the water bottles at Walmart because you want to get out of the house? And then, the second trip over to HEB, maybe just take one trip and go to Walmart and HEB if you need to have to get out of the house, or maybe buy a bicycle. He's 84. He's not doing that. But like we talked about that and I said, or maybe we go together.
Yeah.
I don't go that many places. I'm very organized about it, but it is making me more conscious about going here, going there, spending money. I'm not spending a whole lot of money on things. We have our solar set up. Our solar system's running phenomenally, and it's saving on my electric bill for sure. Those are the things I'm focused on. What can I control? And that's all. Like, for all of you that are freaking out about everything that's going on, you don't get to control it. None of us do. Do we get to protest it? Yeah, I went to the protest. Did you? I know Andy did.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. You're right. You focus in on the stuff that you can control. I drive 22 miles a day. That's it. My job is 10 miles away from me, so it's 10 miles up, 10 miles back. My second job is on the way home from my first job, so it's actually, I drive, like I said, 22 miles a day. That's it.
And I think the big part about the changes that we're all making, the choices that we're all making right now, like You know, because of what's going on with airlines, because of the price of fuel, all of that. Like initially, I was supposed to drive one way, like round trip, take one trip in June to take my daughter and my granddaughter to New York City. My daughter's never been to New York. Any of you who've been there know it's very overwhelming if you've never been there, how the subways work, blah blah blah. She's got high anxiety and she's highly autistic, so she gets overwhelmed very quickly. So I said, "Well, if it makes you feel better, I can drive you there or even fly with you." So we were going back and forth until 2 weeks ago. And there was a plane crash. You guys saw that. Since then, there's been two plane crashes. Um, and the price of airline tickets went up. And then ice in the airports and all that. And she goes, absolutely glad that we decided to drive. But could you drive? Because I told her, if you want to go and take your sewing machine, because she has to continue making costumes while my granddaughter's at this intensive. I was like, if you want to do that and take your actual sewing machine, not buy some cheap one while you're there that you know is not going to be able to hold up the amount of work that you have to do, um, I'll drive you there. And then if I have to come back and get you, or Nick, her husband, can take my car and go pick you up. I have a hybrid. So that's why my car is involved, is because I own my car outright. I have no more payments. So it doesn't matter how many miles they lease theirs. Um, and I don't have that many miles on my car because I don't drive that much. And because it's a hybrid, I get a shit ton of miles per gallon. So I was like, we'll take my car. And then after all of that stuff unwound, she's like, is that going to be okay? And I'm like, yeah, because if you calculate the cost of airfare for 4 round trip tickets, we're saving a shit ton of money. Now
in the middle of
I'm
summer.
losing days in work for sure, but my priority, my value in my life, where I walk my talk, is family is very important to me. My children, my father are very important to me, and they always come first. So it has to come before business. It has to come before those other things. Plus it's summer. Things are a little slower in the summer anyways. Does that mean 100% we're going to go? Not if there's all kinds of craziness. Nobody's going to end up going to that New York intensive. But for now, we're planning on it because nothing's happened to say don't go.
You still have to make
You
plans.
still have to make plans and follow through on those plans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, my dad and I were planning to go to Hawaii in October for his birthday month, right? Andy, too. I think Andy was going to join us. We had plans to do that. That's a tentative maybe, or maybe we wait another year kind of a deal, because everything is unstable, but we'll know more in October, like when we get closer to October. When we get to September, then we'll know. Should we buy the tickets and have things calm down by then? That's how I'm gauging things. Am I afraid? I'm unhappy about the decisions that these very selfish, narcissistic, greedy, dominant 1% and our politicians are making globally. Globally. I'm very sad about what they're doing, the loss of life, the loss of nature, the loss of resources. I'm very sad, but it isn't the only time in history that we've taken it this far. Other civilizations have collapsed before. Do I think civilization's going to collapse? My hope is no. Nobody wants to see that. I don't think so. I think we've got some things coming that it will not fully collapse. Are some things in the ease of what we're used to going to collapse? Absolutely. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's been predicted for a very long time, and all the planets, the way they're lined up, say in order for us to shift to where we are actually living in harmony with the earth, with the new energy that we've all been, that are spiritual, have all been expecting, we have to watch things fall. And none of us want that, because as much as we say we want what's new and we want the Aquarian age and we want love, peace, and blah, 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 we also want our Amazon, don't we? We also want the ease of use to stream, don't we? Nobody wants to give up anything in order to have that world. And the universe and the earth are bound and determined to make that happen. So, like it or not, that's just the way it's going to go. And so we ride through it, not with fear. We were built for this. There's no mistake that we are alive at this time, the like most powerful time in the last probably 500 years on this planet right now. And we're here for it. We're driving to New Orleans on the 24th. Gas for my Jeep's going to be much higher than we originally planned, but it's not stopping us. What needs to collapse will, but not everything. I have no fear of what's to come, literally none. And that is how you live life. Like, isn't that the point that we're all here for? Live life. Live it. Not work until you're dead. Not struggle to survive. Live it. Experience it.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Yeah. Grow through it. All those things. All those things. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that helps you guys. Anything else? You guys got anything else?
I think that's enough to get us through the week.
Yeah, so I'm going to share something with you guys. I said it at the beginning, but we didn't have that many people on. I'm like, I've been talking a lot about, I've been repositioning, rebranding, coming back, trying to get everything rebuilt. Now that my brain is operating again, now that my body is cooperating, I say that, and then I got two big floaters in my eyes over the weekend in my eye, which has been a pain to try and deal with. But thanks to my Rife, they're fading so that I can see better. But in my right eye, literally have two floaters that is obstructing my vision. It's the weirdest thing. It's a good sign. It means my body is actually repairing the nerve damage that was done from my chemo. But in the vein of rebuilding, redoing things, like UNKNOT, this live stream show came about because I was coming back in, and I used to have a podcast, and I used to do lives multiple times a week. And then on TikTok, when TikTok was still generous with views, I was going live multiple times a week. I'm on once a week on TikTok, once a week right now, live everywhere. We initially I created this show to be a live call-in show to be able to help people. But and we were testing the idea, testing it through right up until April was the whole thing, test it. Because by June, I need to have everything working and operating the way it's meant to be. I can already tell you one of the things that's going away in April for me is this show called UNKNOT. I'm not going to leave and not be live streaming. Andy will still be a producer, but we will not do the format of a call-in show. The topics that I'm going to cover are going to be changing. Potentially. We'll see. The name of the show is going to change to reflect what I'm stepping into in this next iteration of my life and my business. And I'll know more. I have a meeting tomorrow with someone that Andy hooked me up with that I've spoken to before, who's very well known in the broadcasting industry, to get some her professional opinion of what direction I could potentially go. But so I don't know whether we'll be here next week. That's why I'm telling you guys this. I don't know if we're going to do this show on Wednesday. We may come live. It just won't be called UNKNOT. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's part of the growth process. You are correct. It's exactly what it is.
I test everything.
Yeah.
Before I turned this into an actual podcast, I wanted to see if the concept held. It did not hold. And again, I'm not attached to things. We test. If it works, it works great. We continue it. If it doesn't work, then we shift. It's time to shift something with this, because I am used to having on podcasts and live streams hundreds of people, not under 20 people. Like, it's just bizarre to me because I've been doing this for so long. Now, I did take off almost 2 years, which kind of killed my audience and views on a lot of in a lot of ways. I'm rebuilding all of that too, because these platforms love consistency. But I had cancer, so it was what it was, right? And I'm rebuilding it, and the platforms keep changing. So I assure you, we will be back. I don't know if it'll be Wednesday. We'll see. I'm going to tell you guys all right now, this month and your plans and the energy you have and the capacity you hold has to determine what you engage in and what you commit to and what you fulfill. And then all month, it's going to be like this little roller coaster. One day you're like, I'm in. The next day you're like, holy cow, I'm tapped out. Like, I can't. And that is just going to be how April is. Remember, I told you January is going to be a shit show. And then I told you in the yearly, and April's going to be like blow the socks off and the doors off kind of month. Here is April. We just started. Today's the 1st. No matter what you do or where you go, I'll always be here. I love you, Miss Ashley. So get ready,
Yep.
strap in, and do not white knuckle it through this. Just go with the ride, as crazy as it's going to be. And it is going to be absolutely insane this month. On like January, just go for the ride, but be conscious about it and pay attention to what's showing up for you, because that matters more, I think, than the global stage. Everything is a reflection of what begins inside of each one of us individually, expressed outwardly, collectively. So it's really important you pay attention to what's going on for you.
One of the most important things that you have taught me in the last 3 years, and I was able to put meaning to it through some of the readings you recommended I do, was that growth is a three-step process. You test, you learn, you pivot.
Always.
And April, I guess we're going to put that to the test.
Absolutely. I mean, and it isn't, I think April's a sifting point for a lot of us. Like, we literally are being forced to see what is no longer working. We are entering, whether people like it or not, a new age. It's called the Age of Aquarius. Everybody wanted it. Let's get to the Age of Aquarius. Remember the song? The dawning of the Age of Aquarius, all about freedom and love and blah, 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 blah.
Fifth dimension, that was in the 60s.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And here we are at the very beginning of it. We're not even well into it, just the beginning of it. And people are losing it because, like, oh my God, we're going to war. Yeah, but how many people are actually waking up to why we're going to war? See, people knew Vietnam that there's some funky stuff up, but they didn't have the internet where things were hitting like up to the minute updates. They can't hide stuff from us. That is why there's so many of us that are like, we don't agree with what you're doing, we don't support it, and we're not going to fund it. So here we are. It's going to be fun. Thanks, Miss Sky. This guy's saying, I second what Ashley says. I'm here for the long haul. I will always be here for everybody. It's just, how we show up and the way we're going to do it. I really want to help as many people as possible. So if this format, if this day, if this time, if this name of the show, if the audience that we've been focusing on is not, and the topics aren't hitting, then pivot. I know on TikTok, I'm known for certain things. I know on Facebook, even, because I have not been consistent over there, when all the stuff went down with Meta and then I got sick and they changed all their stuff and it became more pay to play, I really got kind of pissy about it with the privacy issues and stopped posting over there. And I am posting over there. I'm not spending a ton of time over there, but I am still present over there. So we'll just see how everything goes. Miss Valerie, what's up? Hello, hello. So we'll see. We'll I might be back Wednesday, but I'm not going to commit to anything today. I will put it in my story. If we do come back Wednesday, and it is going to be dependent on both myself and Andy, like whether or not we've got the energy and are feeling it. And then it's determined by the meeting I have tomorrow and how much I can get done. My schedule is filling very quickly. If you need my help, whether it be for health or a private one-on-one, or you want to check out Charm Life, get on my schedule. Like, get on it now, because my schedule is filling. For health, like, those appointments are starting to stretch out. Like, you can't have one for a couple of weeks because my schedule is filling. But and I do have a little bit of a waiting list starting on that. But while I'm available, y'all need to get in. If you want immediate help and immediate engagement and a community, get into Hidden Wisdom. It's $40 a month. It is a no-brainer. Like, no-brainer at all to get in there and be part of that community, get coaching with me, learn from me. Um,
And there's so much archival material for you to go through.
so much.
Yes.
Stuff. Yeah. Yeah. There's so
And
many, so
I
much.
say this to everybody that asks, and even people that don't ask, you'll never go wrong investing in yourself. And that's what you do with Hidden Wisdom and Charm Life. You're investing in yourself, and you will never regret it.
Yeah. So the real work we do, the deep work as a group, happens in Charm Life. People always ask me, what's the difference? Charm Life, we do the work, the framework, the structure that I've created that got me through my life from survival into thriving and beyond. That is the work we do in Charm Life. Hidden Wisdom is just this vast portal and library of things that I've taught, things that I continue to teach. And then again, you have access to me monthly in our live Zoom coaching. So it's private. Everything's recorded. So if you can't attend live, you can still learn from the material that happens. And yeah, so go check it out. Go check it out. I'll be back. Just don't know when. I hope you guys have a good full moon. It's going to be hard to sleep tonight for those of you who are sensitive, just so you know. Like, the energy's just primed. Don't judge it. And right now, I'm going to tell you all right now, there's something we were talking about in Charm Life last week, and it applies to everyone right now for the month of April. Judge less, accept more. Do not judge what goes on as good or bad. Don't judge it. Just accept it as it's meant to happen, and roll through it and become flexible. Anywhere you're finding yourself inflexible and rigid, that is a point of growth for you and bringing attention to something you need to change. When is the next live on Hidden Wisdom? So I did the monthly forecast today, Valerie. That is now posted in the portal under the monthly forecast. The monthly coaching is the third Wednesday of every month at 5 p.m. Pacific. So that is the
The
22nd.
15th. It's tax day, the 15th.
See, I said the 22nd earlier. So it is the 15th because
Yeah.
my light is blocking.
Yeah,
I
because
said
it's
the 22nd, the
the
third
first, the
Wednesday.
8th, the 15th. The
Okay, so
third
it's the
Wednesday.
15th this month. Oops. So I have to let everybody know. For some reason, I looked at the calendar and I saw the 22nd. So we have actually 1, 2, 3, 4.5 weeks in this month. Holy shit. No, it's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's 4 weeks. 4 weeks and 2 days in this month. 4 weeks and 2 days. So yeah, the 15th. Time is flying. Today went by way, way, way too fast. And pace yourselves, because this ride's a doozy, and you got to be able to breathe through it. So yeah,
Deep breaths. That'd be good.
deep breaths. Thank you, Mr. Andy, for being here. I appreciate you.
Always a pleasure. I always enjoy your company, and I
See
always
you
learn.
tomorrow, Miss Lillian. Can't wait to see you. You missed it. Um, You're coaching soccer. That's amazing. Well, the replay's already up, so it's in the portal. That's the whole monthly forecast. Like literally, you can go watch it. And there's good things. I mean, honestly, like there are some supporting factors. If you're an air sign this month, you might enjoy this energy. But if you don't like being pushed and pushed into change, a lot of people are not going to like this energy. I thrive in this stuff. I like change. I like it. So let's go. It's time. Anyways, all right, you guys have a great night.